The objective of this lesson is to use understanding of units of measurement to solve and justify solutions to a given problem. Students have had practice converting yards to feet and feet to inches, kilograms to grams, pounds to ounces, meters to centimeters, gallon, quart, and pint to cups, and liters to milliliters. In this lesson, students will apply the mathematics they know to solve problems. Students will also focus on the organization of their work. Mr. Smith's class made me and number posters to tell about themselves. Polly, Seth, and Casey didn't put their names on their posters. Polly, Seth, and Casey have challenged the class to figure out which poster belongs to each student. We will use the clues to match each student to their poster. Poster A. I went to dance camp for 4 weeks. My cat is 3 years old. I practice the trumpet 5 hours each week. Poster B. I went to science camp for 5 weeks. My rabbit is 3 years old. I practice the guitar 4.5 hours each week. Poster C. I went to computer camp for 5 weeks. My dog is 4 years old. I practice the piano 4.5 hours each week. Polly said, I went to camp for 35 days and I practice my instrument for 270 minutes each week. Seth's clue is, my pet is 36 months old and I went to camp for 28 days. Casey's clue is, I practice my instrument for 270 minutes each week and my pet is 48 months old. After comparing the clues to the information on the posters, we recognize that the posters and the clues use different units of measurement. We know that in order to compare measurements, they need to have the same unit. Another thing we notice is that the students gave only 2 clues to help identify themselves. To begin with, let's look at the information on the posters related to camp. Polly went to camp for 35 days and Seth went to camp for 28 days. To compare weeks to days, we need to have the same units. Let's fill out the key chart comparing weeks to days. We know that 1 week is equal to 7 days. 2 weeks equals 14 days. 3 weeks equals 21 days. 4 weeks equals 28 days. 5 weeks equals 35 days. Polly went to camp for 35 days. Polly could be student B or C because both students went to a 5-week camp. We see that Seth went to a camp that was 28 days. Student A went to dance camp for 4 weeks. Student A is probably Seth. It would be a good idea to double check the remaining clues to make sure we are correct. Seth says his pet is 36 months old. Student A, or Seth, has a 3-year-old cat. Again, we recognize the information that we are given is not in the same units of measurement. To compare the information, we need to have the same units. Another strategy we could use is equations with an organized list. We know 1 year is 1 group of 12 months. We know 2 years is 2 groups of 12 months, or equals 24 months. 3 years equals 36 months. 4 years equals 48 months. Seth must be student A. Our next clue says Casey has a pet that is 48 months old. Looking at our list, 4 years equals 48 months. From the posters, we see that student C has a dog that is 4 years old. From our calculations, Casey is student C, but it would be a good idea to double check our last set of information and clues. Polly practices her instrument for 270 minutes. Casey also practices for 270 minutes. We see from the posters we have 1 student that practiced 5 hours and 2 students that said they practiced 4.5 hours. Since Polly and Casey both practiced the same amount, we can use guess and check to see if 270 minutes equals 4.5 hours. To compare the time, we need to use the same unit of measurement. We know that 1 hour equals 60 minutes. 2 hours must be 120 minutes. 3 hours must be 180 minutes. 4 hours must be 240 minutes. We know that 1/2 hour is 30 minutes. 240 minutes plus 30 minutes equals 270 minutes. We have proven that 4.5 hours is equal to 270 minutes. We have already figured out that Seth was student A. We know for certain that Casey is student C. This means that Polly must be student B. She practices the guitar for 4.5 hours or 270 minutes. The objective for this lesson was to use understanding of units of measurement to solve and justify solutions to a given problem. We met this objective by completing a task that required an understanding of how units of measurement are related to each other, and we converted to different units of measurement as necessary. We used T-charts, equations, and organized lists to organize our work.